Okay, folks, I am here to talk about something that I think is very important because we all know, for example, that your company is only as healthy as your sales organization because in order to be in business, in order to stay in business, in order to succeed in business, we've got to make sales. And we've got to make sales today, and then we've got to make more sales tomorrow. We've got to keep the sales coming if we want to stay in business. And I know that you want to stay in business. So today we are talking about, hey, Yelp, your sales culture is giving you a foul reputation. And I don't think Yelp gives a crap about anything that I have to say. My experience with their sales reps again and again over the years proves it to me. So I'm not actually here talking to Yelp. I'm here talking to you, to other leaders of other organizations, other leaders of other sales teams. So that's what we're here to talk about. If you've followed me very long, then every once in a while, you know that something in my experience or something in the news, something that happens gets me fired up. And today I am fired up. So there are a few traps that I find Yelp's sales reps, not sometimes, always fall into. And I've probably received 8 or so calls from different sales reps over the years, and I've found every single one of them fall into these traps. So let's get into them. This one you've heard of before, whether it's in a sales context or somewhere else. To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So I hear you, Yelp. You've got a hammer. Well, guess what? I am not therefore necessarily a nail. And so here's what I mean by that. When I receive sales calls from Yelp, they already know, or they believe that they do, that I need what they're selling. They aren't calling to find out what my objectives are, who my clients are, whether my clients might be folks that are looking for me on Yelp. They don't have questions and curiosity of that kind. They know for a fact, whether that fact is true, that I need what they're selling. And folks, if your people are calling your prospects with the foregone conclusion that your service or product is perfect for them no matter what, then you are going to be putting people off, offending them, and ruining your reputation in the marketplace, because there isn't a single one of us who needs what everybody is selling. There is not a single thing that any of you is selling that everybody needs. So that's trap number 1, is the hammer nail trap. Trap number 2, people are calling me and they are like a bull in the china shop. They aren't listening to me, and they don't give a crap about what they hear. So that affects not only the hammer nail conversation, where they say, hey, we've got a hammer, we know you've got nails, and I say, I don't think I have nails, and they say, oh, you've got nails, right? So that's part of it. Part of it is also, I remember probably a year and a half ago or so, a sales rep calling me, and I said, this is not a good time for me to talk. You can call me tomorrow sometime after 11. And instead of saying, wow, thank you very much for telling me when would be a good time for you to talk, he continued to try to keep my attention and to keep me on the phone. Now, this has been true of every single sales rep from Yelp who has called me. So this isn't a matter of one person doing something unwise in sales, one person having a poor approach to sales, especially a poor approach to sales into the C-suite. This is a matter of culture, because if it happens once, okay, you've got a one-off. But if it happens again and again and again, then it's a matter of culture. It's a matter of leadership. It's a matter of what are these people being directed to do? And it may not be that they're being directed to keep me on the phone no matter what. It may be something else. It may be some other directive, some other measurement that the sales managers at Yelp, or maybe in your company, are giving, that are leading people, that are putting people in fear such that they don't want to let me get off the phone. All right. This brings us to our next trap. You are the company. And so I just got off the phone maybe 10 minutes ago with a sales rep from Yelp once again. And this is after I have finally been fed up enough to say to Yelp at least twice before today, please put me on your do not call list. So, woman called me from Yelp today, asked to talk about stuff and whether or not we are going to pay Yelp for things. And I said, we've told you this in the past, and so I'm repeating it to you now. Please put me on your do not call list. And she said, I have never called you before. Now listen, I'm not keeping track of names, and neither is anybody else that you or your organization are calling. They're not keeping track of your name. They may be keeping track of your company name. And when I say put me on your do not call list, what I mean is, hey, Yelp, you as a representative of Yelp, put me on your collective Yelp do not call list. And when I say you have called me before, I don't mean or care that it's you personally. And your prospects, likely, especially your cold prospects, certainly your cold prospects, they are not asking themselves, have you personally called before? They are asking themselves about you as a company. Have you called before? And so this is at least the third time that I've gotten this kind of pushback from folks at Yelp. When I give an objection that has to do with you, their response or their attempt to overcome my objection has to do with distancing themselves from other people who might have called. And have you had a problem? Yeah, obviously I've had a problem, because I'm telling you about a problem that I have with you. I'm telling you personally about a problem that I have with you, Yelp. So Yelp is the company, and you are Yelp. Yelp is you, and you are Yelp. Same thing for your company. And there is, again, when a prospect has a problem with one of your sales reps, if they're generous, they will consider it a problem that they've had with one of your sales reps, if they're generous. If they have that same problem with a second sales rep, or potentially just with a second call from that same sales rep, they will no longer think of it as a problem with that sales rep. They will think of it as a problem with your company. And it really is a matter of culture at Yelp, and it is a matter of culture in your company. What is our sales culture like? And so, what I have to guess, because I'm not talking to the sales leadership at Yelp, and I'm not talking. I haven't been talking to the sales leaders directly in your organization. But I have to imagine that there's something at play here in this kind of behavior that we all see from lots of salespeople. And it is why salespeople have a bad reputation, that people are focused, so incredibly focused on today's sales. Now, these tactics, these techniques of keeping people on the phone, of being a hammer when, excuse me, and assuming that everybody is a nail, of being relentless, not only in prospecting in general, but relentless with each person that you happen to get on the phone. This relentlessness can lead to short-term gains. It can lead to today's sale. It can lead to booking an appointment. Short-term gains. I booked an appointment. I made a sale. It may cost you tomorrow to have made that sale or to have booked that appointment. How do you know if this is happening? Well, are people referring you? If they bought because of some high pressure tactics, nobody is going to give you a referral because they will believe that it is like sicking a rabid dog on their friends. And nobody is going to sick a rabid dog on their friends. Are people booking appointments and then not showing up for those appointments? Well, very likely they booked that appointment just to get you off their back. And then they don't show up for the appointment because they don't want to talk to you again, ever. And then lastly, are people buying once and then never buying again? Happy customers buy again and again. You may be selling because people can consider that first sale, whether consciously or unconsciously, they may be thinking of that first sale as a way to get you off their back and relieve the relentless pressure that you're putting on them. Or they may be buying because you said, hey, you're a nail and we're a hammer, so obviously this is a marriage made in heaven. You didn't do the discovery and the due diligence to figure out whether in fact that was true. And so you sold your hammer to a screw, and they got hammered and hammered and hammered, or they tried to use your hammer to fasten their lumber together. And they realized this is not a good tool for us. So you've sold to the wrong person. And now they think of you as either a bad tool. And if you're a really good hammer, then you seem like a bad tool to a screw, or they think of you as somebody who's relentlessly after the sale and uninterested in what they actually need. And so they become non-buyers in the future. They become non-referrers. They become not an asset to your brand and your company as a former customer, but a liability as an unsatisfied, unhappy former customer. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is don't be a Yelp, and don't lead your people in ways that put them in fear, that makes them desperate. The folks from Yelp who call me sound desperate. And I don't know whether they're desperate for the commissions or whether they're desperate for the approval of the sales leadership. It might be either one or both. I don't know if they're desperate for whatever is the bonus that they may get if they accomplish certain kinds of goals. Don't be a Yelp. Encourage a culture of service, a culture of information gathering, a culture of relationship building, a culture of listening and interrogating, a culture of investigating with your prospects instead of pushing your agenda on them. That's my guidance. And culture really matters here because, as we say at the Yes Works, culture is that set of contagious behavior among a community, and your sales team is a community, and every single behavior is contagious. If you are encouraging one sales behavior, and you've got somebody who is sticking around and permitted to exhibit one of these kind of Yelp trap behaviors, then that Yelp trap behavior could become contagious and cemented as a broader part of your sales culture and ruin your reputation as well. I hope that this conversation about sales and sales culture and what's effective with folks in the C-suite like me versus what will give you a black eye and put you on the blacklist. I hope that this has been useful. Hope you have a fantastic day, a fantastic week. I hope that you're fantastically successful in sales and in building a culture that will lead not to offending and putting off your prospects, but to creating great relationships where even those folks who say no to your purchases may have such a fantastic experience in your sales process that they say yes to referring you to others. I'm Aaron Schmuckler, CEO at the Yes Works, and it's been an honor to have had your attention. Thanks, folks.